You used to feel everything, every slight, every disappointment, every emotional shift in the room registered like physical pain. You cared deeply. You gave freely. You opened yourself to people, to experiences, to life itself. And slowly, methodically, that sensitivity was weaponized against you. So you changed, not consciously, not deliberately. But one day you noticed the empathy had hardened into indifference. The warmth had frozen into distance. The person who used to cry at movies now watches humans suffering with clinical detachment. You become cold. And the people who knew you before don't recognize what you become. And here's what should awaken you. This isn't healing. This isn't growth. This is what Carl Jung called psychological death. The murder of your most essential self in response to a world that punished your depth. We're witnessing an epidemic of sensitivity turning to coldness, not because people are becoming stronger, but because they're fragmenting. They're not building boundaries. They're building walls. They're not developing resilience. They're developing numbness. And they're calling this evolution when it's actually self-destruction. Jung spent decades mapping how the psyche protects itself from unbearable pain. What he discovered reveals why your coldness isn't strength. It's a wound pretending to be armor. Why your detachment isn't wisdom. It's dissociation disguised as maturity. Today, I'm going to show you exactly why sensitive people become cold, what this transformation costs you, and how to reclaim the depth you've been forced to bury. Jung wrote, "The shadow is that which you refuse to see about yourself." What did he mean? In his practice, he witnessed sensitive souls who couldn't bear their own depth. They experienced empathy as liability, vulnerability as danger, emotional openness as weakness. So they repressed it. They pushed their sensitivity into the shadow, the unconscious repository of everything we deny about ourselves. Today, this dynamic has intensified catastrophically. A world that rewards emotional unavailability, celebrates unbothered energy, and pathologizes caring too much. You're told to stop being so sensitive, to toughen up, to not take things personally. Sensitivity becomes something to overcome rather than cultivate. Watch what happens in someone's 30s after a lifetime of being punished for feeling deeply. They still feel everything. They just learn to show nothing. The sensitivity hasn't disappeared. It's gone underground. And from that shadow position, it calcifies into its opposite. Coldness that protects the sensitivity it's trying to destroy. Think about the last time someone called you cold or distant. Did you feel offended? Or did you feel a flash of shame because they'd seen through the armor to the tender thing you're protecting? That's the signal. Your coldness isn't who you are. It's who you become to survive emotional annihilation. Have you noticed this in yourself? That increasing numbness? That growing inability to connect even when you wanna? This is the first mechanism. Your deepest gift becomes your greatest liability. Sensitive people don't just feel their own emotions. They absorb everyone else's. They walk into a room and register tension no one else notices. They hear the pain beneath someone's anger. They feel the world's suffering as if it's their own. Jung observed, there is no coming to consciousness without pain. In his therapeutic work, he saw how highly sensitive individuals experience consciousness as curse. Every perception was magnified, every emotion intensified. Every social interaction left them energetically depleted because they were processing not just their experience, but everyone's. Today, we pathologize this gift entirely. Highly sensitive people are told they're too much, too intense, too deep. So they learn to shut down, to numb, to become less rather than integrate more. Think about your younger self. You could feel someone's mood shift across the room. You knew when people were lying. You picked up on emotional undercurrents others miss entirely. And every single time you mention it, you were told you were overthinking, being dramatic, imagining things. So you stopped mentioning it. Then you stopped trusting it. Then you try to stop feeling it altogether. Here's what Jung understood that most people miss. You can't selectively numb. When you shut down sensitivity to protect yourself from pain, you shut down sensitivity to everything, including joy, connection, meaning. Your greatest strength becomes the thing you're trying to kill. This is why you're cold now. Not because you stopped caring, because caring became unbearable. You've been emptied by others' emotions. There's a reason sensitive people become cold. It's not a personality shift. It's empathy collapse from chronic depletion. Dostoevsky wrote, "Pain and suffering are always inevitable for a large intelligence and a deep heart." He understood that depth carries a cost. Sensitive people don't just feel, they absorb. Every conversation becomes emotional labor. Every relationship becomes energy extraction. They give and give and give because their empathy won't let them do otherwise. Until one day, there's nothing left to give. Modern psychology calls this compassion fatigue, but it's deeper than that. It's the systematic draining of your emotional reserves by people who take your sensitivity for granted. Friends who vent endlessly but never reciprocate. Partners who expect you to manage their emotions. Family members who exploit your empathy as if it's infinite. You remember the exact moment it happened. Someone was telling you their problems, again, and instead of the usual flood of empathy, you felt nothing. Just cold calculation about how long you had pretend to care before you could leave. That absence of feeling terrified you. Not because you'd stopped caring, but because you'd been drained so completely there was nothing left. Here's what Dostoevsky knew. Deep hearts break under the weight of others' pain when those others never carry their own. Your coldness isn't cruelty. It's your psyche's emergency shutdown to prevent complete depletion. This is why you can't feel anymore. You've been emptied. The protection that becomes prison. Sensitive people don't become cold overnight. They build it slowly, brick by brick, betrayal by betrayal, until the armor is so thick they can't remember what was protecting. Jung identified this as a persona, the protective mask we show the world. But for sensitive people, the persona isn't just a mask. It's a fortress. And fortresses don't just keep threats out, they keep you trapped inside. In analyzing defensive structures, Jung saw how protective mechanisms become prisons. The sensitivity you're protecting behind coldness can't grow, can't connect, can't exist. It's not protected, it's suffocated. You built the coldness to shield yourself from being hurt again, to prevent people from exploiting your empathy, to stop feeling so deeply it destroyed you. And it worked. No one can hurt you now, but no one can reach you either. The armor that keeps pain out also keeps love out, joy out, meaning out. Watch what happens when someone genuinely wants to connect with you. You feel the impulse to open, then immediately the armor reasserts. It's a trap. They'll hurt you. Stay cold. So you do. And the very thing that was supposed to protect your sensitivity ends up destroying it through isolation. Here's what Jung understood. The armor you build to protect your heart eventually becomes a thing that kills it. Your coldness isn't saving you. It's slowly suffocating what's left. But here's where Jung's wisdom becomes truly powerful, where understanding transforms into integration. Everything I've described is happening unconsciously in people whose sensitivity is turned to ice. They're protecting a gift they're simultaneously destroying. Operating from a wound, they're calling strength. Building walls, they're calling boundaries. You now see the mechanisms. And that recognition changes everything. Your coldness isn't a personality flaw. It's a defensive response to empathy exploitation. The sensitivity hasn't disappeared. It's been driven into shadow. And shadows can be integrated. Jung's entire method was about reclaiming what we repress, bringing the unconscious into consciousness. While others mistake coldness for strength, you'll recognize it as protection of something precious. While they numb permanently, you'll learn to feel selectively. While they build impenetrable walls, you'll develop conscious boundaries that protect without isolating. This is shadow integration, not return to unprotected sensitivity, but developing what Jung called conscious feeling, the ability to feel deeply while protecting your energy. to remain empathetic without being depleted, to stay open without being exploited. The truly powerful don't oscillate between sensitivity and coldness. They integrate both. They feel everything but give selectively. They remain empathetic but fiercely boundaried. They've learned to protect the gift without killing it. Your sensitivity isn't weakness. Your coldness isn't strength. True power is reclaiming the depth you've buried and learning to express it on your terms. Remember who you used to be? The one who felt everything, who cared so deeply it hurt. Here's what you see now. That sensitivity wasn't weakness that needed to be killed. It was power that needed protection. The coldness you developed isn't evolution. It's amputation of your most essential self. Jung's final wisdom. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. He understood that repressed sensitivity doesn't disappear. It goes into shadow. And from shadow, it either emerges as coldness, depression, or physical illness. You're not protecting it by numbing, you're killing it slowly. Here's the truth that brings peace. You will be hurt again if you open yourself. This will never change. Sensitive people always risk more by feeling more. Some will exploit your empathy. Some will mock your depth. You can only accept it. And in that acceptance, you find freedom. Freedom to feel again, but with boundaries. Freedom to care, but selectively. Freedom to be sensitive without being depleted. This week, notice when the coldness rises. Don't judge it. Just observe. This is protection. What am I protecting? Can I protect it differently? Then feel one thing you've been numbing fully consciously without shame. Write in the comments, I'm integrating my shadow. Jung spent his life showing that wholeness requires reclaiming what we've repressed. Your sensitivity isn't the problem. The world that punished it is. Stop killing your gift to survive their cruelty. Integrate the armor, reclaim the heart, and become whole.